How can we build the future better so our cities, our homes, our environment can better withstand the challenges of climate change? There are many answers to those questions. I will be looking at solutions from Africa and elsewhere. Welcome to EcoAfrica. I am Chris Alems, coming to you from Lagos, Nigeria. And here's my co-host, Malama Mukonde.
Hello everyone and greetings from Lusaka, Zambia. It's great to have you with us. Here's what we've got for you in this week's show. How Rainmakers in Kenya work together with meteorologists. And Rocking It, a Ugandan harnessing the power of music and the sun to spread a green message. Zimbabwe's capital Harare is facing considerable ecological changes like flooding, pollution, and a drop in biodiversity. Now, since 2008, the city has lost more than half of its valuable wetland areas that naturally act like sponges. Rampant construction continues to eat up other green spaces too. But there are people trying to stop or even reverse these developments sometimes, but very creatively.
In the Shapungo Sculpture Garden, in the heart of Zimbabwe's capital, Harare, nature and art are closely intertwined. And this fruitful symbiosis is expanding and growing. A tree with its blossoms, fruit and leaves is a masterpiece created by nature. It's a source of inspiration for the women and men who make their own creations from stone in its shade. In turn, the park in the artist colony of Shapungo is designed to protect nature. We decided to grow indigenous trees because some of the species might actually be wiped out due to the random felling of trees for firewood. If they vanish, they're gone for good. So we decided to grow them so people can actually come and learn about them, as they're vital for our existence. Nicholas Kadzangura is a sculptor and the manager of the sculpture park. He frequently gives guided tours for young art lovers. Many works here deal with Zimbabwe's natural environment and the threats it faces. One piece by the late artist Joseph Ndandarika is especially close to his heart.
He called it the friend of the rhino so that people can get closer to know the rhino and also to protect it. The more you become friends to animals, the more you don't kill them. You want them to multiply.
With only some 600 black rhinos left in Zimbabwe, it's a desperately urgent matter. The Shapungo Sculpture Garden was set up in 1970 and is named after the Bateleur eagle, sacred in Shona culture. The bird is considered a messenger of the gods and ancestors. This ancient indigenous knowledge is passed on during the guided park tours, which highlight the spiritual significance of nature conservation. For Marcy Mashore, widow of the park's founder, many sculptures here are animistic symbols of a nature-centered faith.
I'm an eland. That is my totem from my father's line. I am not to eat the flesh of the eland. My role is to protect the environment of the eland. I am to nurture its life, its existence, its being. Now that's a traditional element in our culture, and you'll find that throughout Africa.
For sprawling Harare and its 2.4 million people, the 15-acre park also serves as a green lung.
The high-density suburbs, it's a big issue, pollution. Not just land pollution through plastics, plastic bottles, but the dust. And there's not enough vegetation to protect people from the dust. That causes other diseases.
Citizens are also engaged in saving the city's wetlands. Drought and construction are threatening these areas and the vital role they play.
Because of these open grassland wetlands, streams are made here and they flow down into rivers, down into Lake Chavero. So if we cover the entire city in concrete, we are reliant upon runoff rainfall in the summer and no replenishment of groundwater very little replenishment of groundwater to keep us going through the 7 dry months of the year.
At the Shapungu Sculpture Park, the hope is that by combining nature and art with relaxation, more people will be inspired to protect nature.
You look around, you see that the flowers, the trees, the lake behind me, the ducks that were swimming there. And then someone tells you that this environment might not survive. The climate change, global warming, these things are affecting the things behind me, the beauty. Then you become concerned. You realize, no, I can do something. The little that I can do it. You tell your friends.
The artists at Shapungu are committed to passing on the message about Zimbabwe's traditional stone art with its special connection to nature and to previous generations. Nicholas Kadzangura often gives sculpture courses. The educational programs that we do and the workshops are meant to share the knowledge that we received from past generations. That knowledge must not die with us. It must be passed on, because this is not just art for art's sake. There are lessons that are meant to be communicated. Lessons taught by nature with its wealth of life and forms, which, along with ancestral wisdom, the artists of Shapungu reflect in their work.
Now to Uganda, where one man is really getting into the environmental groove and ensuring that others get on down and get the message too. All in this week's Doing Your Bits.
A little music to brighten the working day. These car mechanics enjoy a break to the tunes of Ronald Kiagwa. He's a mobile DJ from Kampala, better known as DJ Decimal Point. One thing that makes his music special, it's entirely powered by the sun. Before his trips around Kampala start, he sets up his mobile DJ card. The computer and the DJ console are stored in his house. After connecting everything and a few fixes here and there, the card is ready to go. Kiagwa takes good care of the solar panels. The cleaner they are, the more energy they can produce. He uses solar to power other appliances like phones too. DJ Decimal Point loves to entertain people during their work, but also takes the stage at events and festivals like Uganda's Nyaga Nyaga Festival. Ronald Kiagwa is quite the local celebrity. As well as being a DJ, he's also an environmental activist. He urges fellow DJs to switch to solar power rather than sticking with fuel generators. They should stop using generators. They produce fumes that affect people's health. Sometimes you find DJs at events using generators and the exhaust fumes are making people sick. Ronald Kiagwa also writes his own tunes. In this song, he accuses Chinese investors of building factories in Uganda's wetlands.
Uganda yafe chuse Uganda yafe wano wabaka umbya linya liba lya manyi bakusa ku TV post noda ku neti ne wabolukumya abakucha.
We have made a project of his song purposely targeting to send out the message outside. We protect our environment.
Protecting the environment. For Ronald Kiagwa, that's everyday life. When I go back home, I connect all my appliances. Solar power helps me to make money and charge my gadgets at home. So it is important and has no bad side effects.
We're off to Venice for the International Architecture Exhibition. Now this year, the biennial is all about climate change and in some ways about acceptance. The world is already being hit by extreme weather, so it's important to change structures to cope with it. And there are a lot of inspiring ideas showcased there about tackling other environmental issues too, including ones from Africa.
External air conditioning units heat the air in a dark, flooded room, an installation that gives visitors an experience of climate change, the central theme of the Venice Architecture Biennale.
Architecture has been engaging with climate for a long time, but mostly it has been about mitigation, how we reduce emissions, which is still very important. But at the same time, the environment is changing, the climate is changing. And so I think the key message coming out of the Biennale is that adaptation is also crucial, and architecture is at the core of that. And that's the only hope for the future.
Landscape architects at the Technical University of Munich took their inspiration from the Khasi people in the Indian state of Meghalaya. The community has developed techniques to guide the growth of rubber trees to create extraordinary bridges. These living bridges help us span rivers and valleys. They also prevent natural disasters like landslides by holding the soil firmly in place. A building technique that's been passed down by word of mouth for generations. Researchers from the university mapped and documented over 70 bridges using 3D scanning. We're trying to help document all this knowledge because we think that it's not only especially important for these people, but that we can also learn a great deal from it too. The installation by architect Tosin Oshinowo draws from her study of the markets in Lagos, Nigeria, her home country. They've become a collection point for garbage from the West, from old cars to electrical appliances and used clothing.
It's a finished product that is considered end of life in another clime. And through a process of adaptation, modification, they're able to take these products, customize them through a process that happens within the market space to the sale point, which is also in the market space, which has given the product a new lease of life.
Nothing is wasted. Everything is repaired, modified, and resold. A true circular economy in action with virtually no carbon emissions.
I don't think that Nigerians would have wanted to be at the other end consuming and reappropriating waste. But the reality is that if we were not doing this, we would be contributing significantly also to the global climate crisis and carbonization. Austerity has encouraged us to understand how to extend these lives.
Oshinowo's installation earned a prestigious Special Mention Award at the Biennale.
This Biennale is kind of a call for action. It's almost like a chain reaction that starts in the Arsenale, but hopefully will continue much beyond.
We head to Germany now, where one company has come up with an idea for building houses that seems like child's play, as well as being fast and simple. It also has a number of environmental advantages. And anyway, who said building blocks are just for kids?
Walls that almost grow before your very eyes. It's all thanks to building blocks made of wood. In just 15 minutes, the job is done. And it's not just walls. Entire buildings can be constructed. A whole new world for Fabio Natz. The bricklayer is now a building contractor. He's building a house with 10 small apartments for the German city of Tübingen's public housing programme. It's the first time we've built a timber house. It's a hybrid construction of wood and concrete. We're bricklayers. We're used to working with concrete and solid masonry. So this is new, but it's interesting. So we decided to get involved. The city of Tübingen is getting its first house made of wooden building blocks. Concrete is used for the foundations and lower part of the walls. The dividing walls between apartments are also concrete, for better soundproofing and reduced flammability. But building blocks are used for all the walls otherwise. They will install around 2,000 blocks here in all. They're not glued together, just pinned into place with wooden dowels. The timber construction system is faster, so you need less time to finish the wall. You just have the wooden dowels as a connecting element and no mortar or glue. So it's a positive surprise for me too. The building blocks are themselves made from smaller pieces of wood. These too are held together by wooden dowels. The system was developed by a local company called Trick Brick. The company's plant in Tübingen produces the blocks. Trick Brick started manufacturing in 2021. The company has since built 15 houses, one in Italy, the rest in Germany. And May 2025 saw the first supermarket open in Germany, made entirely of wooden blocks. Demand for the building blocks is growing. The company is now looking for investors to expand the business. Our biggest problem right now as a startup is to keep up with the ongoing demand. Our plant here in Tübingen can produce around 8,000 blocks a month. We still work partly by hand, but are in the process of moving to full automation. Their wood comes from the nearby Black Forest. This keeps delivery routes short. In this area, the foresters regularly have to cut down trees that are suffering from heat stress, like this fir. But they also fell trees that are standing too close together to allow the forest to rejuvenate. The wood of coniferous trees is especially good for industrial uses. The process of felling is organised from start to finish. Even before the trees are felled, they already have buyers. The foresters harvest 15,000 cubic metres of wood here each year, but not every part of the tree is equally valuable. We divide up the wood between the customers while it's still in the forest. They all have certain demands regarding their product. We get more valuable wood from the lower trunk and less valuable wood from the upper part. We divide it up, and what isn't usable stays in the forest. The lumber mills collect their wood directly from the forest. They also process trunks that are slightly damaged. They can still be used. The startup buys parts of its wood from one of these lumber mills. Here, production is fully automated. Every day, hundreds of tree trunks are cut up and sorted. The large, long wooden planks are for furniture or housing construction. The smaller, thinner ones are used for leftovers, such as making pallets, or the wooden building blocks. Building with wood is more expensive than with concrete, at least 10% more. This applies to the wooden building blocks too. If we compare the blocks to reinforced concrete, we can say, depending on the static requirements for the building, a reinforced concrete wall costs between 150 and 300 euros per square metre. With Trick Brick, you're looking at around 250 euros per square metre in a basic structure. But what the price doesn't reveal is the product's sustainability. While manufacturing concrete produces CO2 emissions, wood absorbs CO2, and it's a renewable resource. Those are clear advantages, says Finnish architect Anssi Lasila. He's been building with wood for 20 years and says the building blocks are the right way to go.
I think there's a good way to develop the solution to use the smaller pieces of wood or that kind of wood what you can't use to like a building without that kind of like a innovation. So I think we need that kind of thinking or solution in the future more and more. And of course, there's also a question that if what's happening after the lifeline, so more that kind of questions that can you recycle the material, can you reuse it somehow?
And that's precisely where the building blocks offer another advantage for contractor Fabio Natz. There, this product is definitely better than concrete. You can almost just push it apart. There's no glue or anything. The wood is untreated, so requires no special disposal. You don't need any heavy equipment, and it's suitable for recycling. The timber construction system can also be used to convert or extend buildings. In the long term, the company hopes to grant licenses so that the building blocks can also be manufactured elsewhere.
And now let's talk about the weather. Knowing what to expect is crucial for farmers. Inaccurate forecasts can have major consequences, including crop failure. But let's be honest, the forecast isn't always reliable, right? In Western Kenya, though, one rural community has perfected the art of predicting the weather by paying close attention to subtle changes in nature.
When Ruben Asitwa wants the weather forecast for Ngani, he consults the local forest. If he sees ants scurrying around, building a new nest somewhere, he predicts that heavy rain is coming. He is one of the traditional rainmakers who observes the behavior of plants and insects. When trees have flowers but no leaves, for example, then they don't expect any rain. The Ngani forest in Western Kenya lies in one of the country's most densely populated areas. It's small but rich in biodiversity and includes some of Kenya's oldest trees. The rainmakers have passed their knowledge down from generation to generation, including the art of predicting local weather patterns. Boniface Omena climbs to the treetops to get a clearer feel for the atmospheric currents. If the wind is coming from the west going to the east, that means that we are going to have rain. And if it is coming from the east going west, then that means no rain. Local meteorologists respect the traditional rainmakers of Ngani. They themselves use modern tools to track the wind, humidity and rain. The scientists and rainmakers have been working together and swapping results for around 10 years now, especially during the rainy seasons. And the rainmakers' local forecasts are often extremely accurate.
We have to get access to the two forecasts, and then we try to interpret the two forecasts. The scientific forecast and then the traditional forecast. We interrogate those forecasts, and then we come up with one consensus forecast. So that's the area of collaboration when it comes to seasonal forecast. That's how
These joint weather reports are broadcast on a radio station in Ngani. It was set up by the Meteorological Service to provide farmers with vital information. Host Isaac Okote sometimes invites rainmaker Boniface Omena onto the show to share his tips and insights.
For example, farmers, they have been advised to really visit agricultural officers to give them advice and to give them provisional crops that they can plant or cultivate during this particular rain season in according to the weather forecast.
Farmer Ruth Owano tunes in every morning to catch the weather service. She knows one intense downpour can ruin her family's livelihood. In 2023 alone, heavy rainfall destroyed nearly 7,000 hectares of farmland across Kenya, about 9,500 soccer fields. And as downpours become more common, forecasts are more important than ever. The Ngani elders have told us there will be rainfall next week, so we need to harvest our beans before then. The rainmakers also have a reputation for influencing the weather. To make rain, for example, they perform special rituals. As an exception, Ruben Asitwa demonstrates in daylight what is normally only done in the peace of night. I blow until the wind starts coming. If I feel some light winds, I will know that it is working. If I don't feel the winds, I will not leave this place until 7 in the morning. If I start at 2 a.m., the winds come by 3:45 and by 4 a.m., there is wind all over. For the rainmakers, that is the sign that rain is coming. Scientifically, this has not been proven. However, although they have different methods, rainmakers and meteorologists in these parts of Kenya are working together for the benefit of the community.
When it comes to shaping the future, It's important for us to choose the methods best suited to our specific environment, whether old or new. Thanks for watching EcoAfrica. It's goodbye from me, Chris Alems in Nigeria. See you next time.
Precisely. It's goodbye from me too. I'm Malama Mukonde in Lusaka, Zambia. Thank you for joining us. Now, don't forget to check us out on our socials and write to us at echo@dw.com. And that is it for more inspiring stories. See you next time.